So thank you very much for inviting me. And I'm really going to follow up the presentation of Mariangela, right, to present some initiative that you all know, and there are quite a few people in the call who are also directly involved in the C4C project. So I just want to remind you that today, the 1st of December, and that is also the World AIDS Day, that despite COVID, there are still a lot of people worldwide who are suffering from HIV infection, and they are still stigmatized for what they do have. So I just want to remind you that. But let's move to our topic. The next one, please. So we know that that it's very challenging to do pediatric study. We all know that, and we know that there are many industry studies. There are very poor deliveries. There is a poor design of the studies, because sometimes industry they do design studies which are not as feasible as expected. The number of patients are not as high as should be required from all the studies. There are some fragmentation between industries, between academia, between the way that the regulators are asking what should be done for regulatory purposes. And this, of course, undermines the possibility and the efficiency of making pediatric studies. Then there are poor engagement. The poor engagement is mainly from the industry side, but not just from the industry side. I think there are globally several clinical trial centers in big hospital, in big academic hospital, but very few of them are specific for pediatric research. And then it's very difficult to do feasibility studies in children. So, well, it's not difficult by itself, but it's difficult to have reliable feasibility studies. The next one, this is a slide that you all know, that we have been presenting several times. It's not new, but I think the message is very clear, that based on the pediatric investigation plans and pediatric development plan requirements, already by 2015, there was a need of more than 200,000 children to be enrolled in clinical trials, but which is, of course, very much unrealistic. And this definitely jeopardizes the the capacity of any pediatric regulation to provide new drug for children. The next one. So what do we need to overcome this very challenging and inefficient situation? Clearly, we need to have a strong alliance by all the stakeholders who are directly involved in pediatric research. And in order to do that, we need to have an agreement among the main stakeholders, which are companies, regulators, investigators, and patients, of course, that what we are doing now and what we have been doing in the last decade has not really been very efficient. I think that what has been presented by Donato on the need for a new, let's say, a new stage of the pediatric regulation is very, very much warranted. So then the company really wants to have, and the European Commission, they really want to have a coordinating system that, and they are really they are involved, they have been involved to support it. The next one. So you know that, and now I'm going to focus on the C4C initiative. You know that there is a very, very important and a public and private initiative under the umbrella of the European Commission. It is called the IMEI program, where with 50% of funding in cash by public money and 50% by the pharma companies. There have been altogether between the IMEI 1 and IMEI 2. IMEI 1 was within the FP7 program, whereas IMEI 2 was within the Horizon 2020. There was been a total of 5 billion euros to support these activities. And they are also been maybe with a different shape part of Horizon Europe as part of the public-private partnership that Donato described in his previous presentation. The next one. So you know what are the specific features of the AMII? There are some public funding in cash, and there is a consortium represented by EPTRI with the European Pharmaceutical Industry Federation that contributes mainly in kind to the development of the project. And the research agenda is defined by industries, which is then proposed to the European Commission, which endorse this agenda. And the IMI office is really a neutral broker, which is really launching the call and has really been facilitate the funding stream. The next one. So what I think is really central in any IMI consortium is the need and to put together different key stakeholders for drug development. Of course, academia, hospitals, or community care, patient organization, which are absolutely central, to have an engagement of regulators and also of small and medium enterprise. And of course, everything is endorsed by the EPTRI, which specific consortium of pharmaceutical company for each specific topic, and of course the European Commission, which is endorsing and supporting the program. The next one. So let's try to go to C4C. In 2016, there has been a call specifically for a creation on a pan-European pediatric clinical trial network, and this call has been quite unique because it's been one of the largest funding stream for pediatric research ever done, with a total budget of 135 million, 50% provided by the European Commission and 50% as a contribution in kind by the consortium on 10 pharmaceutical companies. The next one. So that is why was born Connect for Children. I don't want really to go too much into the detail of the project. I'm not going to go there at all because you all know it quite well, being most of you involved in this program. The next one. I think I really like to focus on the way that we have been building the consortium. We have a total of 36 let's say non-industry partner plus 10 industry partners. And the way that we build the consortium, and it took several years really to build it, we try to involve different stakeholders. We involve first of all existing national networks. There were, because you know that C4C is really based on an infrastructure of national hub and national network in 19 countries. And in some countries, we did have existing national network, which were operating locally, nationally, and some of them internationally. But in many countries, this national network didn't exist. But of course, we involved the existing national network. We also involved the very successful disease-specific pediatric network as PRINTO, as Penta for HIV, PINTRO for rheumatology, the cancer network, the cystic fibrosis, and other specialty, formal and informal network like nephrology or psychiatry. And then we involve existing EU-funded project, both as a network who run individual trials, you know, the 19 FP7 funded project, and then the two large funded pediatric network, TEDDY and GRIP, which were funded since 2000, since FP7. FP6 actually, Teddy. So this is really the basis on the way that we develop our consortium, which was successful, and we were really funded. So an academic consortium, a patient organization, which was absolutely crucial. Of course, there are a lot of different patient organizations, but there is a coordination from the Barcelona group of all the patient organizations at European level. And this is really crucial for not just for the success of the project and the consortium, but also to imprint the vision of what we want to have. We think that there are four legs of any network, any successful network for running clinical trials in children: academia, regulators, industry, and the patient. So this, I think, is really very, very important, and that's been really very important. The next one. So you know everything on C4C, but I really like to point out that the relevant amount of funding that we were awarded are really, most of them, to support the development and the running of few studies. We do have 3 large non-industry studies which has been selected, and 4 industry studies, maybe more, which will start quite soon. And these studies, of course, they've been selected through an external peer review process.
אורי, תקשיב, זו פגישה שאני נציגת משרד הבריאות הישראלי, עם נציגים מכל אירופה. אני לא יכולה להיות שם.
And that these studies has been really funded.
אבל זה משרד הבריאות, יש נציג ממשרד הבריאות בעצמו שהוא נמצא שם עכשיו.
Hello, we will try to mute.
פגישה, זה הלינקים שהם שולחים, מה אני אעשה? אי אפשר לנטרל אותם, שלא נוכל לי... מה אני אעשה עכשיו?
It's not visible.
אבל משרד הבריאות הוא חלק מהפרויקט הזה.
Okay, anyway, I think that this project, these trials, are, as well as the industry studies, they are really going to be run and supported to test with some metrics to see.
No,
Can I have the next slide, please?
Sorry, next slide.
Okay, so of course, when we put together, especially academia and industry, there is a risk of culture clash, because really we look at the idea of doing clinical trials and the way they should be done with a different perspective and a different aim. So it's the people in the academia, they often have, they need to publish. We do have permanent position very often. We have several freedom to operate, and we want really to increment the knowledge in general. Whereas in the industry, their work on the company name, they might have position at risk. They do have very strict rules, so they're not, and they work for their industry, which is very clear. So really there are different incentive and, let's say, a different wiring to get people involved in these projects. The next one. And this is an animated slide. Yes. And so that is what is the challenge of the IMEI project, and that we are facing also in C4C, really just to do something together when we can really share the vision, the mission of the project. This, honestly, it's not really very easy, because despite the fact that we are quite a strong coordinating team and quite a strong involvement of the people from the 10 companies who are part of the different work package leadership in C4C, I mean, the company behind them, very often they don't recognize the importance of C4C, where they're putting money as well. So it's, and this is the other way around also for the academia. We do really think that working toward the development of the European network for clinical trial is very important, whereas within our institution, there are groups who think that it would be better to continue to work in isolation. But that, I think, is really the challenge that we are facing with C4C, and they are, probably very much understandable. The next one. So there are, as we said, I mean, just summarizing part of these challenges. I mean, the challenges are very complex and they are widespread. And the next one, this is again an animated slide. The next one. Yes. So really what it is very important is really to define the responsibility and the owners and the ownership of each partner and each stakeholder in a transparent way, and try to optimize and support a very clear communication among all the stakeholders. I mean, as you know, C4C is built around national apps and national network. So I think that it is really very, very important to continue to work and communicate and share well the way that we want to work. The next one. So we need to know that usually the partners only work when both partners benefit from the relationship. This is a very, very important concept that we always need to remember. There are, of course, in a project like C4C, there must be benefit for the private partners and also for the public partners. I mean, clearly, the reciprocal access to different expertise, technology, and experience is really very, very important. And the capacity of working with respected organization like regulatory agency, patient organization is also very, very, very important. The next one. So we think that really that, no, can you go back? There is really, so there is really a need to emphasize the synergies and the amplification that we might have of working together. The next one, which is also the last one, of course, that we need also to consider anyway that there is an heterogeneity of goals and expectation between public and private partners. So even if when we consider academia and industry, there are different really expectation, and that is something that we really need to consider. The next one. And sometimes it is really difficult to reach a common understanding of each other and agree mutually upon objective. But I think we need to be aware that it's the only way to move forward, and it's the only way to have a successful project. This is not just only for the development of a pediatric research network, but I think in general for all the possible experienced consortium of public-private, including private-public partnership. So thank you very much for your attention, and please be in touch with us. As you know, C4C is really a forum of pediatric researchers and pediatric people who want, and people who really care about pediatric research. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Carlo, for your great presentation. And I would like again to say that we worked together in several countries, and several national nodes are going to be established in collaboration between C4C and EPTRI, and joining efforts from preclinical and clinical expertise give us together the chance to represent a unique pediatric research framework for the future, for the development of new innovative medicines for children. Thank you again, Carlo. I would like.
I think that what you said, I think is very important because as you said, the EPTRI and C4C are very much complementary. The structure of the national node that Mariangela presented for EPTRI, I think it is something that should be to work together with the national network and the national hub of C4C, really avoiding duplication and expand the partnership and the collaboration. This is really very, very important. And C4C and EPTRI are really the two crucial networks to reach that.